6:32 in the East Coast. America is on high alert today after ISIS releases more propaganda videos allegedly threatening new worldwide attacks, including a WWE event in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, a report by a group affiliated with the online hacktivist Anonymous saying it had also uncovered a list of targets in Indonesia, Italy, Lebanon, and Paris. The FBI says while it has received no word of a credible threat in the United States, it is taking the matter seriously and taking precautions.
And this comes as Belgium remains on maximum alert as an international manhunt continues for the world's most wanted fugitive tied to the Paris attacks. Friends say Saleh Abdeslam, the 8th attacker, ran to Brussels after the attack, and he is now reportedly hiding there, telling people he'd, quote, love to be with ISIS, his ISIS friends in Syria. Paris police believe there may have been a 9th attacker now. Ed?
Despite all this, the U.S. is not on any sort of terror alert. In fact, the National Terrorism Advisory System has not issued any alerts since it started in 2011. So how much should the public know about terror threats, and how much of a responsibility does the government have to tell us? Here to discuss, Michael Balboni, former New York Director of Homeland Security, Evie Poumpouras, former Secret Service agent and security analyst, and Steve Rogers, former member of the FBI Joint Terror Task Force and retired lieutenant commander with the Office of Naval Intelligence. Good morning, all of you. Important to kind of sort through fact and fiction right now. Americans waking up to severe threats all around the world. Michael, what do people need to know this morning?
So terrorism is meant to terrorize, and so they're going to put out propaganda. They want to spread their message. And what I would say is that if they're going to attack, they're not going to give any warning. So they're not going to come at you, not going to tell you, pay attention, we're going to attack here. So when you have these types of propaganda, this guy across the world in a mask saying, don't shop at the Mall of America, that's kind of ridiculous. What the United States and Department of Homeland Security needs to be are the adult in the room, contextualize the threat, but make sure you always support the folks on the ground.
And Evie, what about the fact, I feel like when this hacktivist Anonymous says they may be planning to attack the WWE event tonight in Atlanta, that could be good for people to know about it. On the other hand, is it a bad thing that this kind of potential intelligence information is getting out there for the world to see? Should this be handled behind closed doors by the professionals?
It should be. The thing is, I get, wanting to put that message out there and warning the public, but you also have to think of the consequences, the chaos and fear that happens when you warn the public, don't go here, don't go there, because now we're feeding it to terrorism itself. But also from an operational security standpoint, you're showing your hand. Law enforcement doesn't want to show their hand. Often when we'd work cases in law enforcement, we would know things, and yes, maybe in some sense you want to tell the public, but you're thinking, if I tell the public, well, who's the public? It's everybody. It's the people we're fighting. You don't want them to know what you know.
And Steve, right now it's happening in a broader context, all of these terror threats. I'm walking through the streets of New York City the last couple of days. You go through Rockefeller Center, there's not the normal police presence. There's more police, thankfully, and they also have larger weapons, you notice. Everyone is taking this seriously, but these police officers in New York City, around the country, are also dealing with the fact that they are under siege in some communities, being accused of brutality and whatnot. And what does that do for the folks on the front line?
Look, we may be entering to a phase of this war unlike anything we've ever seen in the history of this country. Your first defense against terrorism are the police on the streets. When I hear politicians say we got your back, they better have their back. Police officers are very reluctant at times to get involved because of A, they're going to be charged with racial profiling, B, the distractions with all these protests going on is emboldening the enemy. So the message to cops has to be from the top down, we've got your back. Let them do their job and they'll do it well.
Yeah, Michael, are we next? When you look at what's been happening, you saw Mali, Paris, all the talk about, well, there could be more attacks throughout Europe. Is the U.S. the next target, though?
So the two threats, right? One is what we saw in Paris. It's to sell. It's the typical organization where you're resourcing. We're very strong from that perspective, much stronger than a lot of the European countries. Border security, the way we do background checks. Is it perfect? No, but we're much stronger. So the rule of thumb is they're going to attack when they have an opportunity to succeed. What the real threat, I think, here immediately are the folks who are already here. The folks who are inspired but not instructed necessarily. The folks who get off the couch and say, I'm going to go to the draw of the profit, and I'm going to
become radicalized
and get involved. They're so hard to track, particularly because they have no footprint within the security field.
Now, Evie, I got to know you when you worked in the Secret Service. President Obama decided the color-coded system did not work. Maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong. But there is at least a system in place that the government, whether you use colors or not, could warn the public. What should the government be doing right now? Because right now it appears it's sort of scattered news reports. We're saying, look, this might happen, that might happen, this happened yesterday, but the government is not giving us a united, unified, here's what you should be thinking about. Should they be telling us something specific?
You know what? Sometimes they don't know. Because you have to understand that the chatter that's coming in, the noise, it's coming in all the time. It's nonstop. So you're sitting there trying to figure out, this is what they're trying to do. The government's trying to figure out, is this legit? Is this not legit? Is this noise? Is this, what is it? So every time you get something, you have to figure out, do I put this out there? Do I not put this out there? What are the consequences of putting this out there? So this system, and the color-coded system was just too vague. It is subjective, trying to figure out what should be yellow, what should be this color, what should be that color. So I think they have their hands full. And I think, yes, as the public, we want to know what's going on, but we also have to put trust in the government. They're making these decisions for the benefit of all of us. And to kind of piggyback what you said with law enforcement, like there's a lot of negativity to law enforcement, but when things break bad, that's who's going to be there to help us. And even just speaking to my former colleagues in law enforcement, right now they're all in a little bit of this laissez-faire attitude. You know what? Unless things break big, I'm not getting involved. You know, being in law enforcement and even having, you know, insurance.
Yeah.
For
Bottom
being
line
sued.
from you, you served in the FBI Joint Terror Task Force, right in the middle of it. Are we safer now than we were after 9/11? Is there a bigger threat now? What's the bottom line?
Bottom line is, I believe because of the FBI and our intelligence agencies, we haven't suffered a catastrophic attack. But at that time, at that point in time, we had the President of the United States and the Congress and every political figure backing the law enforcement community and the military community. The problem we have now is that there's so much fragmentation between the White House and the local cops. We're in a dangerous situation today.
Thanks for your insight. Steve, Evie, Michael, good to see you all.